Mondi and No 2005, they define employee selection is the process of choosing from a group of applicants the individual best suited for a particular position. Employee selection is the process of recruiting people with suitable skills to fill positions in an organization. A company is in a weaker position to survive without professional workers. Only when there is effective matching can effective selection be achieved. The company can achieve high-quality employee efficiency by choosing the best applicant for the appropriate work. The organization's effectiveness depends on the standard of workers chosen for the job. There are several objectives of employees which are obtaining qualified and skilled workers, minimizing cost of training and development, and improving organizational productivity. Firstly is to obtain qualified and skilled workers. The staffing process and the recruitment of well-qualified and professional people in the workplace are supported by proper selection. The organization will choose the right person from a list of potential applicants for the work openings by creating a screening process. Professional workforce selection lowers the cost of labor and increases efficiency. The selection of professional staff also promotes the organization's competitiveness and expansion in skill. Secondly, to minimize cost of training and development. This is because proper selection of employees reduces the cost of training since better gripping power is accessible to eligible workers. They can understand the method of the job better and in no time. Further, the organization can develop different training programs for different persons on the basis of their individual differences, thus reducing the time and cost of training considerably. Lastly, to improve organizational productivity by making the right selection of high-quality employees working in the organization. It is important to ensure that the organization only appoints candidates who, in terms of their ability to make a positive and continuing contribution to the organization, satisfy a broad range of requirements. Thus, the right individual who fits the job can contribute effectively to the significant achievement of organizational goals. There are 5 processes in a typical employee selection process, which are preliminary screening, application reviewing, job fitness testing, job-related interviewing, and background checking. First step is preliminary or initial screening. Initial screening is the first step conducted on prospective applicants to determine whether the individual is minimally qualified for employment. The purpose of the preliminary interview is to eliminate unsuitable or unqualified candidates or those who obviously do not meet the position's requirement from the selection process. Sometimes the preliminary interview is conducted to exchange information with applicants to decide the suitability of candidate for further screening. It used to shortlist potential candidates in order to cut selection costs by allowing only eligible candidates to go through to the next stage in the selection process. Obviously, preliminary interviews should be performed by somebody who inspires confidence, who is genuinely interested in people, and whose judgment is reasonably accurate when it comes to adjudicating applicants. The interviewer should be courteous, kind, and responsive. He or she does not seem irritated or abrasive. That is exactly why a courtesy interview is often called preliminary interview. Every organization applies on this process to choose for better employee and not make a mistake. Second process of employee selection is application review form or resume. Review of application is intended to examine the details of applicants to identify those who meet the selection criteria as required by the job through application form or resume. Application form is a standard document that contains a summary of relevant education and job experience for a specific employment search. Resume is a summary that usually 1 to 3 pages about a person's background and experience that are directly relevant to a particular position. Usually, for a professional or specialized position, a detailed information known as curriculum vitae (CV) may be required. For example, companies receive hundreds of resumes for an ad occasionally. However, human resources may only consider a half dozen Human resources and the hiring manager must decide how many applicants they will bring in for an interview in a realistic way. When many workers are looking for jobs, you can be more particular about those qualifications. Compile a list of a suitable number of potential employees as established by human resource teams. Application review form is an important process to hire the new employees. Therefore, we must choose the best resume to build a better organization.
The process is employee test. The candidates are required to sit for a certain assessment to assess the competency and attribute with the job. This is an objective and standardized measure of behavior to gauge a person's knowledge, skills, and abilities. There are several types of employment tests, which is cognitive aptitude test, physical and psychomotor abilities, and job knowledge test. The cognitive aptitude test is to determine general reasoning ability, while physical and psychomotor abilities is to measure the strength, coordination, and dexterity. This is not only assess the mechanical performance, but also the ability to know and understand. The job knowledge test is measured to the candidate knowledge of the duties and the job. The first process is the employment interview. It is used to interrogate the candidate to evaluate the potential employees. In this process, the employer will determine whether the candidate is suitable for the job or not. There are two types of job interview, which is unstructured and non-direct interview and structured interview. The unstructured and non-directive interview is a spontaneous conversation and not a specific one, while the structured interview is used for job position interview, whether the candidate can handle the situation or not. The fifth process, which is the last one, is the background check process. It reassures you when the candidate is reliable and don't pose any risk to your company. It is also to prove that the candidate told the truth in their resume and during the interview and do not elicit any drug. There are several types of background checks, such as the criminal record and credit report.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Farah Ikha binti Zairi. For my turn, I will talk about 4 issues in employee selection. For the first issue is lacking analysis about the job. One of the most common yet serious problems in recruitment is the lack of knowledge and insight into the nature of the vacancy that you are trying to fill. Though the process can be effective and practical, it can be costly, time-consuming, and disruptive for employees at the same time. Secondly, misalignment in job description. Aligning to the career framework allows you the opportunity to bring all the job description up to date. Even after a recruiter has fully understand the purpose of the job, misalignment in the job description and selection tool still happened. Third issue is narrow focus. Making the right decision when hiring is essential to any company, as it will determine if the new hire will be a perfect match for the required skills, the team attitude, and the company culture. But there is also another problem in the selection process, which is the situation that the recruiters might become too focused in the specific characteristic or talent he expects of a future employee. Last issue is poor culture fit. When employees are misaligned with corporate culture, they lack a feeling of belonging that can severely impact their performance and lead to disengagement or employee turnover. Selecting your team is one of the most important things of any startup. Someone with lots of talent might negatively affect your work culture if he or she doesn't have the attitude and personal qualities to blend well with other employees.
Strategy in employment selection. Firstly, narrow focus. Commonly, the 2 tactics that recruiters choose to perform in the hiring process include searching for the most talented candidates or choosing the best fit to the company culture possible. It is crucial that recruiters should balance these tactics. Competence is a must, while the ability to fit well within the company culture is a key factor to keep them around for a longer time. In order to do this, your recruitment process should be backed with objective screening tools so that recruiters can have more insight into a candidate profile, easily accessing their related experience and skill to fulfill the intended job. People with an outstanding talent might negatively affect the work culture if he lacks the personal traits, quality, and attitude to get along with other staff. Therefore, indirect qualities should be tested with interview season to determine the communication and international skill as well as the friendliness of a future employee. Secondly, process. Perform a strategic job analysis by listing all duties required of the position. Determine if the tasks are vital to the job or ancillary in nature. For important duties, decide if an employee must have the knowledge, skill, and ability to complete them upon hire or after training. Consider the type of education and experience candidate must have to prepare them to satisfactorily perform the job duties identified as a vital at the time of hire. Write a job description based on your analysis to advise your opening. Thirdly, performance appraisal. To ensure that your new hire understands the requirement of the position, formulate a performance plan based on your strategic job analysis. For each important task that you identify, describe your expectation. For example, if the position is a receptionist, list that it is satisfactory to answer incoming call by the deadline. The employee's performance rating can be higher or lower depending on when the phone is answered. When plans are discussed with new hires, the resulting future performance appraisal should be not a surprise when administered. Lastly, compensation. A strategic job analysis helps you determine the compensation for the position. Consider factors such as the degree of accountability, difficulty of task, level of independence, and supervisory duties. In addition, examine the qualification required to perform the duties. If certain education and experience must be possessed by candidates, you may have to increase your compensation package to attract the most qualified applicant. To finalize the pay structure, survey other companies that have similar position and requirement to compare your best are competitive in the industry.
After that, as a conclusion, the employee selection process is as unique as an organization itself, and the best format for yours depends on many things. You need to find the selection methods that are reliable, predictive, and best suited for the roles you need to hire for. And also, don't rely on just one method to make your decisions. Instead, build a combination of several employee selection methods that get the job done and put the right people in the right roles at your company. The purpose of selection process is to pick up the most suitable candidate who will meet the requirements of the job in an organization best. to find out which job applicant will be successful if hired. To meet this goal, the company obtains and accesses information about the applicant in terms of age, qualifications, skills, experience, and more. The needs of the job are matched with the profile of candidates. The most suitable person is then picked up after eliminating the unsuitable applicant through successive stages of selective process. How well an employee is matched to a job is very important because it directly affects the amount and quality of employees' work. Any mismatch in this regard can cause an organization a great deal of money, time, and trouble, especially in terms of training and operating costs. In course of time, the employee may find the job distasteful and live in frustration. He may even circulate hot news and juicy bits of negativity information about the company, causing incalculable harm to the company in the long run. Thank you.